Hello, happy Wednesday. Welcome to Q&A Wednesdays. I am your host, Intellects, and our topic for today and this month, our question of the month is, how do you balance personal life and business life? So we are going to jump right in. We have a few things to cover, and we're going to get right into it. So welcome to Q&A Wednesdays. Our topic for today, question of the month, is how do you balance personal and business life? So if you want to comment below how you balance personal and business, but we are going to jump into it. All right. So just a couple of announcements before we start. We have Showcase Your Talent Show coming up the 29th of this month for Juneteenth edition. There are still available slots left if you are competing or you want to compete for a chance at a $100 grand prize plus a feature spot in the following month. You can compete as a contestant. If you just want to showcase what you've got, we have feature spots available, and we also have sponsor spots as well. If you just want to share your art, we do have an open mic segment after the talent show. So definitely register so that you can be added into the show. You definitely don't want to miss it. There are people signing up daily, so there's only a few spots left. We also have Meeting of the Minds Mondays coming up very soon, and our topic will be revealed to you all very soon, but we talk about anything from business to art to self and everywhere in between. If you have a topic that you would like us to discuss, definitely DM or email us so that we can add it in the queue, because we're here to serve you. We also have Q&A Wednesdays, of course, once a month where we pose a question. You are also able to pose whatever questions that you would like us to answer. You can put it in the question box, or you can email us ahead of time so that it gets a guaranteed answer. All right, we have Freestyle Friday in 3 segments. We have open mic pretty much every Friday. We have Battle Art second Fridays, which will be this coming Friday due to not having enough competitors last week. But the topic is, if God were one of us. If you are interested in being a part of the Battle Art for this month, Dope Female Trainer has been reigning supreme. So if you are interested in competing for a chance at some money, definitely tune in this Friday. Okay, we also have in third Fridays, we have Art of War, Art Awareness Fundraiser, where we raise funds as well as awareness for the beauty, necessity, and uniqueness of art. Based on your culture, your background, where you're from, it might look different. But we are showcasing that, we're spotlighting that by having a fundraiser so that we can come to a place near you to go from virtual to in person. All right, and those are third Fridays. And we also have fourth Fridays, our featured segments, which is coming back this month. We are excited for our feature. Stay tuned. All right, but if you want to know everything there is to know about Intellects, subscribe to our emails. You'll be the first to know in the know. And we give out goodies, and it's free. All right, so we also have YouTube subscriptions. We have Intellects, a place for entrepreneurs podcast. Going into season 3, check out our previous episodes. You can click our link in the bio for all of the options that we have available. And of course, the more options are given to our email subscribers. All right, we have merch, we have voiceover options, we have flyer options, promo options, and so much more. All right, so without further ado, we are going to jump right in to what we have going on. Hey, welcome. I'm good. How are you? Thank you for tuning in to Q&A Wednesdays. We are talking about how do you balance personal life and business life. So for those of you who are joining us, and even those who will view this later, you can comment your ways of balancing personal and business. All right, so, and depending on who you ask, that could be a good thing or a bad thing, but there's definitely a lot of conversation about how do you balance? Because some of us have a very busy schedule to where we don't have a lot of time to spend with our family, our friends, and things of that nature. And then a lot of us may do too much personal and not enough business, so you can let me know, like, what is your issue when it comes to balancing? Do you do too much business? Do you do too much personal, or not enough of each? Let me know. But while you're thinking on that, we are going to jump right in to our first video where we're talking about this very thing.
Hey guys, Grant Cardone here. I wrote this book for you, How to Create Wealth Investing in Real Estate. Behind me is a property.
You got to honor that if you're going to say, I'm putting down the phone between 7 and 9 o'clock tonight, and I'm actually just going to be present with you, you've got to honor it. It's an excellent question. I think if you're present to whether or not you're kind of in the zone of time where it's cool to be fluid, you're kind of with the family, you're also sort of present on your phone, that's cool. If you've decided that because my kids are starting to complain or my fiance is starting to complain that I'm always like this, then you got to honor that if you're going to say, I'm putting down the phone between 7 and 9 o'clock tonight, and I'm actually just going to be present with you, you've got to honor it. So what I will do is I'll just jot a note to myself. So instead of picking up the phone, I'll just jot a note down. And it's only because I have the propensity to work 24/7 because I love what I do. And I love responding to people on social, and I love seeing all the stuff that's going on. Set a quitting time every single day. Now, I usually, I'd say about 65% of the time I honor it. It's not foolproof, but it works the majority of the time. And you've had the experience, right, where you got to be at a meeting at the school, or you have to catch a plane, or you've got a doctor's appointment. And have you ever noticed that when you've got an anchor like that, your whole day condenses and you're more productive because you've got this deadline? And that's called Parkinson's law. So Parkinson's law, it's a research-backed fact that when you have work to do, it will expand to the amount of time that you have to do it in. So if you have 20 minutes to make a call, how long will it take you? If you have 2 weeks to make it, how long will it take you? Correct. So if you, every day, no phone in your room, you set that one priority that matters to you. If you got time to kind of inch it forward just a little bit, great. You've already made progress. You're done for the day. Then you look at your phone. You also set a quitting time right then and there. The majority of days you'll honor it. And that quitting time means, for me, it means I'm not on my phone. And everybody that works for me knows if there's an emergency or if we have to do something, they'll call me. So that helps a lot. Does that answer help you? Excellent. There is like some pretty interesting research around how long you can focus. Do you guys remember when we took standardized tests, how you were done with the test, you had this massive headache, felt like your brain was pushing? It's because your prefrontal cortex was so gassed. It had to focus for so long that it was tired. The reason why we have habits that get automated is to give your prefrontal cortex a break. Because if your brain had to focus on everything intently 100% of the time, it would not be able to do it. It would blow up in your head. So the reason why it goes back and forth between behaviors that are patterns and behaviors that cause you to be intentional is because your brain needs to take these little breaks. What you're dealing with is you've developed a habit that gets triggered by that feeling. So when your brain starts to feel gassed, that's the trigger. This part of the brain takes over, and what your pattern you're repeating is social media. So the fastest way to stop that is when you catch yourself on social media in that instance, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, to override the pattern, and then get up and take a quick walk. a 3-minute walk, literally even into the kitchen or around the block, or go outside and take a phone call or something, it's remarkable how that will help a lot. Okay?
All right. So that was Mel Robbins, for those who may not know who she is. And she gave some keys to how to balance. So I know the people that were actually asking the questions, the audio wasn't that great. So the first person that she answered was asking how to kind of balance one without seeming like you're procrastinating on the other end. So spending time with family as opposed to taking time away from business, but not in a procrastinating type of way, right? Then the second question was kind of like, oh, well, when I have downtime, I use it on social media, and then I get lost, and then I'm there for long periods of time. And then that's kind of like, okay, well, this is how she did that. So those were the answers to those questions. But just to reiterate what she said, Mel Robbins, she's a prolific speaker. She has a lot of things under her belt. I would suggest, if you are interested, to look her up and see her resume. And, maybe she's somebody that you may or may not follow. But she talked about having a plan and honoring it. So if you are in a family and they are telling you that you are spending too much time doing your business or whatever, which is reasonable, because if you love what you do, you're going to spend time with it, right? But if you're getting to the point where you're neglecting family and they're telling you, then setting a plan and sticking to it and honoring that is something that you can incorporate in your daily schedule. She also said, instead of picking up the phone, writing it down, making a note of it, and then going back and adding it to whatever later on. A lot of times we get distracted because of the phone, social media, laptops, gadgets, whatever. But when you set a plan to say, or listen, I'm going to take time out to get rid of all of the distractions, all of the electronics and everything else, just so I can focus on this, then you are making a better plan for yourself so that you're not drowning in social media or electronics or whatever distractions might be for you, or you can name it, whatever it is for you. If you set a plan and stick to it, it will help you along the way. She also said, set a quitting time every day. So if you say you're going to be done by 9 o'clock at night, by 9 o'clock at night, you should be done. Now, there are going to be exceptions because every day is different. Some things may have to get done by a certain time, by a certain day. And if you're not done by 9 o'clock, you may go over, and that's quite all right. But for you to do that every single day, you're not doing the best that you can do, and you're not respecting yourself or others, and you're not respecting time, right? So if you are at a place where you're like, okay, I'm going to stop by this time, and then you never get to that point, then you have to reevaluate why. Why are you mismanaging your time first, right? But, there's going to be days, like I said, where you can get in between there. And some days you might be on point with it. And some days, all right, I'm a half an hour late because this, that, and the third. As long as you can, find the reason why you're late, and it's a reasonable reason, as opposed to, oh, I just didn't feel like stopping, or I was so into it. You can always go back to it. You can always, you can always do whatever. Either way, the choice is yours. And you said, I need to learn how to balance. I think we all do. We all do, because, to some people, balance is not necessarily a positive word. But we'll get into that in a little bit. And she talked about Parkinson's law, which is work that expands to fill that time. So if you say this is going to take this amount of time, that is the amount of time that it should take. And I would recommend, if you want to keep track of what you do, if you're on your phone a lot, then schedule whatever you have to do for the day. Set timers, or in your calendar, put everything that you have for that day. So it'll pop up with reminders if you are not really good with time. I would also suggest getting a calendar, a planner, like I have a planner here, and I use it. I also have one on my phone. I also have a notebook where I keep track of everything, just so that I can stay on top of things, because I may not be in one spot. So I have something for one place, something for somewhere else. So just in case that I can't get to one, I still have a backup. So, and a lot of times when you write things down, it's like subconsciously you will end up, making whatever you write down happen. In my case, that has been how I've gotten so much stuff done, like people doing resolutions and making goals and things of that nature. When I write mine down, they happen, but I also put the work in to make it happen. So having that as an option could help you if you don't already do that now. And then also, your brain needs breaks. You cannot go hours and hours and hours without a break, without drinking some water or taking a walk or moving around or just separating from what you're doing. So there was a couple people that I listened to who are very influential. And one of the things that stuck out to me was them saying that they'll take like 15-minute breaks. They'll work for a few hours, take 15 minutes, work for another hour, take a half, like whatever works for you. Even if it's like a nap, taking a half-hour nap just to kind of recharge, because you will burn yourself out very quick if you don't take that necessary time to recoup from all the work, because it is mentally draining, it is emotionally draining, it is and can be physically draining if you are constantly doing something without giving yourself that needed break. All right, so we are going to jump in to the next, and if you have any questions or comments, feel free to put it in the chat, and if you need me to reiterate anything, or if you want to go over anything specific, let me know. Okay. You have to learn to take some more breaks, sis, because it's not a nice thing to do burnout. I've experienced burnout before, because for me, it's like, okay, I want to get all the work done by this time, and realistically, everything is not going to get done when we want them to get done. But as long as we're working towards it, be patient with ourselves, allow us to make mistakes. Like, everything is not going to be foolproof, right? But definitely have to take time out so that you don't burn out. And even if that's reducing what you do, cutting down the time, cutting down the amount of times you do it in a month. Like, if you go live every single day, that may be cause for burnout. So instead of every day, you could do every other day, or a couple times out of the week, or maybe once a week, or a couple times out of the month, kind of revamping your schedule and just kind of going over what helps you and what works for you, to where you're not burning yourself out. Okay, so we're going to jump into this next clip. And it's also talking about balancing.
As an owner of a cleaning company, this is what your life should look like.
And personal.
As employers bring employees back into offices and routines begin to change yet again, employees from all generations are going to feel new strains in addition to all their current challenges.
Yeah, no problem.
If you're among those that are struggling with a tricky work-life blend, then here are 3 tips on how you can balance your work and personal life without going crazy. First, set boundaries. 25% of millennial employees are working extended hours, which is more than any other generation. Though setting boundaries is not a new concept, it is one that's becoming more elusive in our hyper-connected workplace. So take time to go outside, phone-free, and use that as an opportunity to clear your head and separate yourself from the workplace. Second, stay organized. Keeping things in order in your professional and personal life can boost productivity and lower stress. A thoughtful daily checklist can help you accomplish the essentials. But it's also critical to carve out time throughout the day for activities that promote a calm and healthy mindset. Finally, check your company benefits. Financially, millennials and Gen Z are struggling the most. In fact, Gen Z and millennials say they are now earning less than other generations, with 32% of millennials currently struggling to pay their bills. Many employers offer financial wellness programs with opportunities both digitally or one-on-one to meet with a financial professional. Often, these benefits can save you money or help with mental health or financial stress. Is it possible to be both productive at work and present at home without losing your mind? Well, with the right boundaries and support, the answer is yes.
All right, short and sweet, right? Okay, so again, giving the same tips, and if you didn't catch his name, Mark Perna, a Forbes contributor, and he talked about different ways to balance setting those boundaries, right? You have to set boundaries with yourself first before you set boundaries with other people, because you treat people the way that you treat yourself. So if you have no boundaries for yourself, you're not really going to care about boundaries with other people. And you can't hold someone else to a higher standard that you don't hold yourself to, right? So setting boundaries is very important. Limit what you listen to, who you talk to, who you surround yourself with, the energy that you attract or give. Set those boundaries, right? Separate yourself from your phone. A lot of us are so techno savvy and so into gadgets and things of that nature, including myself. I have multiple gadgets that I use every day, but I also take time away from them, at least an hour a day where I am not on any of them, because I need that break, especially my eyes, because if you're looking at screens all day, it does affect your eyesight, right? So, but not only that, I just want a break, and he talked about having calming activities to do to kind of get away from the business side. You can have personal and business, and they can coincide together and flow together, but you have to have boundaries. You have to have that, right? He talked about staying organized. So have you ever been in a room that's cluttered and your brain was like, yo, what's going on, right? How the environment does affect your mental. It does affect whether you're scattered brained or whether you're calm brained, right? So just try it out if you have not. Go into a room where everything is a mess and see how you react to it. And then go into a room where everything is neat and in place and in order and see how you react to it. And that will give you your answer. I know for me personally, I can't focus if I'm in a room of clutter or mess and it's just a hot mess, and I can't focus because I'm busy focusing on what needs to be cleaned, right? But if I'm in a place where everything's organized, it's clean, things are put where they're supposed to be, I can focus way better. And you say you be on your electronics every day. Yeah, same here. But do you take time out away from them? Because at the end of the day, what we do is not really going anywhere, right? It's not going to hurt for you to take a week off of social media, or a day, or maybe a month. Some people take a couple months, depending on how you flow. But it will not hurt to take 30 minutes to an hour away from your gadgets, away from all the distractions, so that you can have a clear mind and clear focus. Or maybe you should incorporate that. Maybe start with a half an hour to an hour, and instead of picking up your phone, you could pick up a book, or you can listen to some meditation music, or you can exercise, or whatever, something separate from picking up your phone. Because if you are so attached to it, if something were to happen to that phone, how would you react, right? I went a year without being on social media, and it was fine. It's not like I missed it too much. I also wasn't doing as much as I'm doing now, so it might be different, but it wasn't bad. And I've even gone weeks or a month without being on social media, and it's very peaceful. It's not as chaotic. I don't feel like I have to be at such a fast pace. I do things on my time, and it really is very peaceful. And I would suggest, at one point in your life to go on a retreat where there are no electronics allowed, and you'll really get to know yourself better. You'll get to know how to be present in the moment, how to actually enjoy life and be, instead of always focusing on, oh, I got to do this, I need to do that, I need to do that. You're going to need to do that still. But if you take that time away for you, because all you're doing is investing in you, that necessary investment is critical, right? Because if something happens to you, the phone is not going to save you. The electronics, the gadgets is not going to save you, right? A lot of things that happen over electronics are something, you said you wouldn't last. Oh. So I've heard someone say that social media brings the people who are further away together, but it also tears apart the ones who are closer. So the ones that are here with you, you actually separate from because you're on social media, but it actually brings you closer to the ones that you're far away from as well. So it's kind of like a pro and a con at the same time. Like if you're so consumed, like especially if you have a family and all they see you do is be on social media or be on your phone, you're not present during conversations, you're not focused, you're distracted, and if majority of people are saying it, or whenever you're around someone, they say like, oh, you always on your phone, you doing this, you doing that. Now it's one thing if you're making money and that's the way that you do it, but there's also a balance, right? You also have to have a balance, right? Life is about balance. The earth has balance. There's not just daytime, there's also night. There's not just the sun, it's also a moon, There's not just land, there's also water. So everything kind of has a balance. That's how I look at it. But yeah, you definitely should take time out for you. And even if you don't look at it like, oh, I'm taking time away from my phone, even if you don't look at it like that, take time out for you, because you are worth the investment, right? And what are you doing to pour back into you? Because if you're always giving others and doing stuff for others, that means you have to have twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times as much that you're pouring into yourself. You don't want to burn yourself out by giving others what you barely have, right? So you have to feed on something so that you can give it out. You want to give from your overflow, not from what you need in order to continue to keep going. So I would suggest taking that time, take a walk, or meditate, or exercise, read a book. You can even dedicate 30 minutes a day to read, where your phones or whatever is in a whole different room so it won't even distract you, right? There's many ways to function without gadgets. But, this is a techno-savvy generation now, and seems like no one can live without it. But that's a challenge that I would give to you today, is to take time out away from your electronics and see how you feel. If that time is for writing or reading or doing some art, reciting your work or perfecting your craft, whatever it may be, take time out to invest back into you, because you are the most important investment. Not your phone, not your gadgets, not your laptop, not things, you, right? Okay, so we are going to jump into our last video for today. And of course, if you have questions or concerns, you can put it in the chat. You can let me know, what do you think are some ways that will help you to be more balanced in personal and business. And I will also share some things that I do that helps me, and we can go from there. All right, so this is our last video.
What do you want? I want a job that I don't hate.
There is no such thing as work-life balance. There's only work-life integration.
You want to receive? Start by giving.
I don't even like the phrase work-life balance. I think it's misleading.
Rise and shine. It's Espresso time. What's up, Believe Nation? It's Evan. I believe in you, and this channel is designed to be part of your daily success routine. So let's start your day off right together. Grab your coffee and sip on today's message. Live your mission. Over to you, Tony Robbins. Also, if you want to know what Tony and other successful entrepreneurs have to say about building unstoppable confidence, check out my 254 Confidence series, where every day for the next 254 days, I will send you a morning video for free to help you build your confidence. The link to join is in the description below.
The fact that human beings, our strongest drive is the need to stay consistent with how we define ourselves. So while you're in this passionate state, that's where you make decisions. So if you want to change your life, my friends, you got to change your physiology and you got to change your focus. I wake up every morning.
Espresso keep me going.
I wake up every morning. When people talk about work-life balance, I was talking to Mary Calhoun Erdos, who's in Morgan Stanley. She manages $2.6 trillion with a T dollars. Probably the most influential woman in the financial world, brilliant woman. And I asked her, because I was interviewing 50 of the smartest financial people on the face of the earth. I said, I know you're a very deeply caring mom and wife, and how do you balance all that? And she said, Tony, she goes, I read this in one of your books. She quoted from. She goes, there is no such thing as work-life balance. There's only work-life integration, and I really believe that in my soul. So in my companies, my wife and I, we live our mission together. We're 24/7, 365 together, and we love it because we're driven by the same things. One of my sons is a partner in several of my financial businesses. One of my other sons is in the coaching business. My daughter's an actress and, totally different business, but she cares for people the same way. So there's a common denominator within our family. We're all so mission driven that we don't have to separate the two. When your family is involved in your mission, you're not pulled apart. You're pulled together in the same direction. I think the hard part is so many families have totally different lives and they come together when they're exhausted and try to have a relationship together, and I think that's really hard for people today. I always encourage people to say, listen, in your partnership in life, you want to find somebody who's your best friend, because intimacy and passion is easy to turn on, but friendship is not. And if you have a friend who shares your values and your mission, and if you're privileged enough to do things together as a business owner, I find that to be the greatest possibility of that work-life integration.
I think if you have a partner who doesn't support your business, you're either going to lose your business or you're going to lose your partner. It's really hard to be mission-driven and want to have a successful company and be in a relationship with somebody who doesn't support you. I think there's 4 buckets that people fall into. 2 of them are negative and 2 of them are positive. The 2 on the negative side, you have a partner who just absolutely hates what you're doing. You have a partner who just doesn't believe in what you're doing. They hate it. They think you should quit. They think it's tearing down the family. They just don't want you to do anything related to that business. And that really sucks as a place to be in. You can't continue on with your business and your relationship. You have to figure out a way to make it happen. The second bucket is they tolerate it. They're not happy with it, but they tolerate it. And that's also a really tough place to be, because anytime you are struggling, anytime you're not getting results, anytime you're coming home and you're stressed out, they're going to say, see, I told you that business, you shouldn't be doing it. They barely tolerate it, but they're not on your side. They just do it because they want you to have your thing and they love you, but they're not really on your side and they don't want it to succeed. It's a really hard spot to be in if that's you and an entrepreneur and that being your partner. It sucks. Now we move into the positive side. The next step up is they support you. They support you. They believe in what you're doing. They may not be involved in it, but they want you to be happy. They believe in your mission. They're pumped that you're off doing your own thing, and they support you in you going off and accomplishing your goal. And then the last one, which is ideal in most situations, is you have someone who's a champion, and they champion you, and they want to be involved, and they want to help, and they want to participate, and they're thinking about you, and they're trying to champion your cause. And so those 4 buckets. You have to be in the last 2, in my opinion. You have to be in the positive territory with your partner. Otherwise, your relationship or your business will not last long term. So what can you do now? How can you move your partner from being in that negative spot to being a more positive one? I'm going to give you a 3-step process that I think will help your business and your relationship. It looks like this: support, communicate, involve. Support, communicate, and involve. So step 1 is support. And what that means is you support them. Support them first. If you are supporting them in their career, in their ambitions, in their drive, and what they're looking for, you're much more likely to get support back on you. If you are just expecting support 24/7, but you're not giving it first, it's really hard. So if you want to get it back, you want to receive, start by giving. And so they may not want to be an entrepreneur. That may not be how you support them. But could you support them in their career? Could you support them in their friendships? Could you support them in your relationship? Like, what are they after? What are their goals? What are their aspirations? What do they need help with? Do they just need somebody to come home and listen to them for half an hour when they walk in the door? What is it? What does support look like for them? Not your version of it. You know what you want. What's their version of it? And how can you support them in accomplishing their goals, their ambitions, their aspirations? You support them first, and then you'll get a little more support on your end, I promise. Step number 2 is communicate. One of the biggest challenges with entrepreneurs is we don't often communicate to our partners what we're going through, what we're thinking about, what we're struggling with. And this is something that Nina and I struggled with early on in our relationship. Where's Nina? Nina's somewhere there. Nina's somewhere there. There's the hand. So I don't need to share what's happening in my life. I don't need to. Doesn't release any stress or tension or energy. If I'm working with something, I need to just figure it out, and then I'll get to the place where I have an answer and I'm good. Nina always wants to know what's happening in my life. She wanted to know when she came home from work what happened with me that day. I don't even remember what happened with me that day. I had to force myself to think about what happened. And at the beginning, that caused a little bit of tension. And so I made a dedicated effort to say, okay, I'm going to think about what's happening in my life, what's happening in my business. I'm going to make an effort to tell Nina first before anybody else finds out. She'd be upset if she wasn't the first to know. So I make her the first to know. And that extra communication helps because she understands my world a little bit better. Even though she wasn't involved in my world that much, even though she didn't know much about YouTube or the things that I'm working on, she couldn't be an asset to the business yet. Just having her know, having her feel like she's involved in the problems that I'm facing at that time, make everything easier. So if there was an important YouTube update that came out or something went wrong on the channel and she knew about it, she would say, hey, do you need to go home and work on it? She understands. Now she's in my corner. So it's not the business being the negative, the business taking time away from us. My problem has become her problem, and my win has become her win. And so it allows her an entry point into my world. And so communicate. You have to communicate. You got to set the rules. You got to explain what's going on. I did an event yesterday in Indianapolis, and an entrepreneur came up at the end and was talking to me about how he feels the same way, where he's like super stressed out at work and his business, and he comes home and he has no more energy left, and then he comes and his wife wants to talk immediately about what happened to him during the day, and he just wants some time to relax. And it causes a lot of tension at home, and he's frustrated and upset that he's not bringing his best of himself at home to his relationships. So give him some advice. 1, on your way home, go with the intention of how do you want the rest of your evening to go, right? You're just going home like an accident. Go home with the intention of I want to have a great night with my wife. 2, work on communicating, explain. If you're stressed out, say why you're stressed out. Don't take it out on your partner. Go home and say what happened to you and why you're so stressed out. And by you explaining it, you're bringing her into your world. She's more likely to understand and support you. That's how you can get somebody from just tolerating what you're doing to supporting you, because they see how important it is to you, and the storytelling brings them into your world. And then 3, just the communication on that part of maybe you need 20 minutes to yourself when you come home. Maybe you set some ground rules with your wife and say, hey, I want to tell you everything. I want to explain and be fully transparent and let you into my world. When I come home, I just need 20 minutes to myself just to decompress, just to relax. And then I'm in a much better spot emotionally to be able to come and talk and share what's on my mind. Chances are she'd understand that. But you just set that up. You set that communication up before so that when you come home, it's not this giant fight every night. So step 2 in building a better relationship is communication. And then step number 3 is involving them. See what you can do to involve them into your business, into your mission, into your values, if there's a fit. So I'm filming this from an Airbnb here in Indianapolis. I made a commitment to my wife and I said, I'm going to take you to every city in North America with 1 million+ people. I did that because she liked to travel. And I like meeting entrepreneurs. So how about we combine these things together? Nina loves organizing events. She loves putting on events, doing all the detail work, all that stuff that I'm not a huge fan of. But I didn't have a lot for her to do in my business, right? She didn't want to be in front of the camera. She didn't want to do YouTube stuff. organizing events was not a big part of what I did. I do 2 events a year in Toronto, one in May, one in September, teaching people how to be thought leaders and make money from it. And she definitely helped out a lot in putting those events on and booking the restaurants and all of that stuff. She was a huge lifesaver. But it's not enough to be heavily involved. It's definitely not a full-time job. So I said, well, what if we found a way to integrate it? What if we combined your love of traveling, your love of organizing events, my love of helping entrepreneurs, and we smush all that together, and we created this tour. We created this Frankenstein creation where I'm visiting in 90 days, 23 different cities. And that was a co-collaboration, right? That was a co-effort on our part to combine our missions together, what we love doing, and find a way to work together. What's going to happen in the 90 days? I don't know. Does Nina go back and get another job? I don't know. Does Nina find another path to continue on in my business? I don't know. We're going to be different people by the end of the 90 days. And so we're open to being able to do more together. And so following that 3-step process, thinking about how first you can support them on what they're doing, then thinking about how you can communicate better just to express what you're going through, and then 3, trying to figure out how can you involve them more in what you're doing, not forcing them to do something that they don't want to do, but finding an opportunity of how they can combine their passion with your mission as well. I think makes for a much better work-life integration and a happier relationship as well as a business.
Top tail difference is the vetting on both sides. They vet the clients and they all.
Now I've got a really special bonus clip that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, question of the day, I want to know, how have you incorporated your partner or some of your friends or family in your business? Let me know. Put in the comments below.
How do you go about establishing that work-life balance that everybody, talks about and thinks about? You've got, you live a big life, right? And how do you
I get this question a lot. I get it. I teach senior executive kind of leadership classes at Amazon for our most senior execs, and I also teach, or not teach, but I also speak to interns, so kind of all across the spectrum. And I get this question about work-life balance all the time from both ends of the spectrum. And my view is I don't even like the phrase work-life balance. I think it's misleading. I like the phrase work-life harmony, because I know that if I am energized at work, happy at work, feeling like I'm adding value, part of a team, whatever energizes you, that makes me better at home. It makes me a better husband, a better father, and likewise, if I'm happy at home, it makes me a better employee, a better boss, all the things. It's not primarily about, there may be crunch periods where it's about the number of hours in the week, but that's not the real thing. Usually it's about, do you have energy? And is your work depriving you of energy, or is your work generating energy for you? And there are people, everybody in this room knows people who fall into these 2 camps. You're in a meeting and the person comes in the room. Some people come into the meeting and they add energy to the meeting. Other people come into the meeting and the whole meeting just deflates. And those people just, they drain energy from the meeting. And you have to decide which of those kinds of people you're going to be. Are you going to add energy?
And the same thing at home.
And
the same thing at home. And it's a wheel, it's a cycle, it's a flywheel, it's a circle. It's not a balance. Because a balance, that's why that metaphor is so dangerous, because it implies there's a strict trade-off. And you could be out of work, have all the time for your family in the world, but really depressed and demoralized about your work situation, and your family wouldn't want to be anywhere near you. They would wish you would take a vacation from them. And so it's not about the number of hours, not primarily. I suppose if you went crazy with, 100 hours a week or something, yeah, that maybe there are limits, and they probably. But I've never had a problem, and I think it's because both sides of my life give me energy, and that's what I would recommend. That's what I do recommend to interns and execs.
If you want more Tony Robbins, check out the 8 hours of Tony Robbins motivation video I did. The link is right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
Everybody wants life to be greater, but almost all of us get stuck at times where something stops us, something prevents us from doing something that we really are capable of doing.
All right. right, thank you for those that tuned in. This is Q&A Wednesdays, and our question for this month is, how do you balance personal and business life? And yes, so all of the clips that we went over today will be added in the comment section once this is posted. So if you missed any of it, you can go back and check it out on your own time. But I will do a recap for y'all. So you said my definition of balance is taking time for myself and creating a planner for the important things versus fun time. That's very important, yes. Having time for you and then having time for the things that you want to do, plus the things that you need to do. So maybe doing a priority list where needs over wants over, playtime, fun time, desires, or whatever you want to call it, but having that so that you can kind of prioritize and just knowing what your needs are over your wants. Some of us don't know the difference. So something that I was told was that if you can go 6 months without it, you don't need it, right? So think about that when you create in your list, but that's a good one. And for those that just tuned in, you can put in the chat what you do to balance your personal and business. And Jolanda, you said, I balance my personal and business life by planning ahead. I make a weekly schedule and make sure to add in some me time daily and weekly and monthly activities to challenge myself and make me smile. Yes, that's great. I like that. Yeah, you definitely have to take time out for you. You definitely have to plan out. So something that has helped me personally is when I create a daily checklist and a weekly checklist, I end up getting more things done because I see what all has to be done instead of just going off of the fly like, okay, I'll do this, but then 1 or 2 things get done and it's still a list of 10 other things I have to do. But if I write down exactly what needs to be done on what day, what needs to be done throughout the week, I get it done, right? So just to recap, we had Mel Robbins talk about having a plan and honoring it. So if you're doing so much personal or so much business that it affects your personal to where people are telling you that it's affecting y'all time together, whether it's family, relationships, all types of relationships, your spouse, your partner, whoever, or even your children, family members, if they're telling you you're spending too much time on your business and neglecting them, you should consider that might be the case. You want to have a good balance with both to where I do believe one will affect the other in a positive or negative way. And if you're frustrated at work, you may take it out on a family or vice versa. So you definitely want to give the time that's necessary for, everything that you have going on. Also, taking time away from the phone, putting it down for half an hour to an hour, taking time off of social media for a short period of time. I usually take a week off every month. I take a week off. Sometimes I take off a month. The longest I took off was a year, but recently I'll take a week off to kind of regroup, to kind of get away from all the noise, the distractions, right? But I think that is necessary, even if you can't take that much time off, to be able to take some time away just to invest back in yourself, and also have a time that you're going to commit to finishing your day and stick to it. Of course, every day is different. There's going to be some days where you might go over, but if that's a consistent thing, you are not trying and you're being disrespectful to yourself first and the time. So be mindful of time, respect it, treat it like such, and you'll have a better outcome when it comes to getting on top of things. Balancing your time first before you try to balance all these other things. The Parkinson's law, which she went over, dealt with how the work expands to fill the time. So set those time limits. If you are creating a list for yourself, put how much time you expect to work on that and use that amount of time to work on that specific thing. Because if you go over, it may cause a whole bunch of friction, a whole bunch of different things when it comes to getting other things done. So if you only set aside an hour for one thing and it took 2 hours, then that's an hour that you missed out on doing something else that you might have needed to do, right? So just be mindful of that. And, it definitely is harder to work, when you have other things to do. So trying to do one thing while you're doing something else can be challenging. Like you said, they don't allow you to have balance. And that is a little bit tricky. I personally don't have children of my own, but I do have a bunch of littles that I help to take care of, that I'm interacting with, pretty much on a weekly basis. So I can understand, not being able to really focus or function, having little ones around. But once you get once you get a regimen in place for that, it becomes easier over time. I would suggest you talk to someone who, has children, or who works with them consistently, constantly, every day, in and out. So to see how their flow is, to see what works for them, and that might help you. And then also taking breaks. Of course, your brain needs it, your body needs it. Even if you're getting up, going for a walk, working out, meditating, reading, whether it's a 15-minute break, 30 minutes, an hour, because your body needs to recharge. And there's, Dr. Umar talked about how there's 4 bodies. You got your spirit body, physical body, emotional body, mental body, and they all need that break to come together to kind of commune with each other and be in sync with each other. But if you don't give yourself that break, it really affects how you function, and you don't want to burn out, like we talked about earlier. Mark Perna, about the Forbes contributor, talked about setting boundaries, separating yourself from the phone. Again, that's the same message that we're getting over and over. The electronics can be put down for a little bit. They're not going anywhere. Social media is not going anywhere. Whatever you want to do, you can do at a later time. But your health and you, investing in you, is more important, right? Staying organized, keeping order reduces stress, right? So when you are focused, when you are able to be in a clean environment, it affects your mind. And I've heard it say before that a scattered room, or like a powdered room, a dirty room, represents or reflects your mind. So when you look at how you live, your environment, which you can control, and if you're not living by yourself, understandable, but for those of you who are, and you see the nature of your house, think about your mindset. Does this reflect my mindset? Do I think like this? Do I act like this? Do I talk like this? So just keep that in mind as well. And then doing some calming activities, whether it's yoga, whether it's prayer, whether it's meditation, walking around, whatever you might do to calm you down and find your happy place. Definitely incorporate that in your day, every day, because that is important. Even if it's, like I said, even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you can go in the bathroom. If that's the only peaceful place that you can go in there for like 10, 15 minutes to kind of clear your head and do something that's out of the norm. Change up your scenery. Doing the same thing over and over again in the same place over and over again can get boring and can burn you out. Change up your scenery. Go to the park. Go to a library. Go see a show. Listen to some comedy. Do something different that's not in your normal routine to change it up a bit, right? To kind of perk you up, give you that energy. And then our last video was on Evan Carmichael. He is a great influencer, speaker, someone that you should follow if you do not. All of these people you should follow. They all have something to give. But that's up to you, because everybody is not for everybody. So with your discretion, he focused on Tony Robbins, who said there's no such thing as work-life balance, but he considers work-life integration, where they work together, where if your family is involved with your mission, then it works better together, right? So including them, incorporating them. He said friendship is not easy to turn on, right? So how many of us have a hard time, making friends or keeping friends, or, having those genuine, real connections? Because a lot of times we have associates, we don't have friends. Friends takes a while to build that relationship up, right? Kids make you say prayer, right? Yes, listen, they'll keep you on your toes, and you can even incorporate them. They can give you some ideas that you might not have thought of either, depending on how old they are. But if they're old enough, they can actually help you. And if you incorporate them, y'all could do some stuff together, work out together, play, do some different things. They will keep you on your toes, right? He talked about how so Evan Carmichael talked about how if your partner doesn't support your business, either you're going to lose your partner or you're going to lose your business. If you don't have that support, it's going to be hard to kind of get along with someone if they cannot stand what you do. And he talked about 4 different types of people. Either people that can't stand what you do, they tolerate it because they care about you, they do little, to kind of help you, or the ones that actually invest and do what they can to help you and your business along. So it's up to you to decide who you want in your life, how you want them in your life, and what you're going to do about it. Because at the end of the day, do you want your relationship, do you want your business, or do you want both? And how are you going to work at it for them to come together, right? So he said 3 things: to support, to communicate, and to involve. He said you put them in boot camp. I'm cracking up. Oh, man. So when you support someone, you give to receive. You don't receive first and then give. You treat others the way that you want them to treat you, right? So you put yourself out there first. You support them and what they have going on. And it's their version of support, not yours. So how do they receive support? How do they want it? What does it look like? And then focus on that, right? And then he talked about communication, right? Learning to communicate with those in your personal life, whether it's friends, family, partner, spouse, whoever. Communication is definitely key, because a lot of things can be misconstrued if it's not communicated the proper way. Learning to say how you feel, express your emotions, express how things frustrate you or how stressed you are or whatever it may be, even if it's something that they're doing that they may not know that they're doing because you didn't communicate it. They say a closed mouth doesn't get fed. You have to express yourself in order for people to know what you're talking about. Communicating helps others to understand what's going on. Setting the rules and seeing how you can involve them in what you have going on. You say, I support my people first before I show love on me. So you support them first before they support you. That's good. That's really good. Because, and a lot of times we do things to get something back, but it shouldn't be the case. We should go out and do things because it's on our heart, not to get anything back. If we get anything back, that's great, but that shouldn't be the goal, right? It shouldn't be, I'm going to do this because I know I'm going to get this. It shouldn't be like that, right? So Jeff Bezos also talked about the work-life harmony. So similar to Mr. Robbins, Tony Robbins, he talked about how if he's energized and he's having a good day at work, it trickles over into the personal and vice versa. So that's what I said before. I agree that one does affect the other, whether it's good or bad. So maintaining a positive energy, positive balance for both definitely helps. So a few things that I do, yes, paying it forward, exactly. That's definitely right, paying it forward. When you pay it forward, whether you get it back or not, is not the goal. It's just you doing something to help somebody else out. Eventually it'll come back to you, but that's not the ultimate goal, right? So some things that I do to balance personal and business, for one, like I said, taking time away from all the distractions, the gadgets, the phone in another room, at least a half an hour to an hour a day, just to focus. Taking time out for me, meditating, prayer, working out, writing, doing what I love, taking time out for what I love helps me to stay focused. I also fast, so if I'm lacking focus and I need some clarity, I will fast. I'll fast from food, I'll fast from social media, I'll fast from different things so that I can have a clear head on what I'm doing. And I also create a daily goal, I create a weekly goal and a monthly goal, and I do my best to stay on top of those things. Like I said earlier, you can also have a list, a daily list or weekly list with time limits on there so that you don't waste any time or you don't do too much or focus too much on one thing when you have 8 other things on your list, 9 other things on your list. You want to stay on task because time is very essential. It's something that we can't get back. You can always get what you need to get done in a different set of time, but if you need to get certain things done on a certain day, you want to make sure those things are done. Set limits, set boundaries, and most importantly, invest in yourself, because you cannot give what you do not have. So if you're pouring into yourself, whether it's reading a book, like I'll take time out to read every day. If you are writing, meditating, working out, doing something that actually gives you some peace or some calming, that will help as well. So keep that in mind. You said the boot camp assists the workout learning, but they still don't listen. My drill sergeant command on some of them. Okay. Yeah, you have to learn to speak their language, because depending on their age, they're not interested in trying to find that interest. Okay. All right. So that is all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in, for participating, for sharing your thoughts. We definitely have to learn how to balance
moving's a struggle,
personal
an expensive
and
one, but it's easy to move and
business.
save with Xfinity. They have facet.
And there is an extra bonus clip that I will share with you all in the comment section. Due to time, we won't be able to do that today, but it's talking about what it is to be an entrepreneur, and a lot of us call ourselves that, but we don't even know what it means, right? So I'm going to share that with y'all. All right, but again, I'm Intellects, your host, CEO and founder of Intellects Artrepreneur Agency, the Indeed for Artists, where we connect entrepreneurs, artists, and creators with experts, networks, and platforms to promote your unique artistry. Showcase Your Talent show will be the 29th of this month, Juneteenth edition. There are contestant feature and sponsor spots, as well as spots for you to just share your art during our open mic segment. You can register with our link in the bio. We have Meeting of the Minds Mondays coming up this Monday. Stay tuned. We will be talking about self, right? So we talk about business, self, and everywhere in between. If you have any topics that you would like us to discuss, you can go into our series to see all the topics that we've done so far. And if you want to add to that, you can email or DM us to add it in the queue, because we're here to serve you. We have Q&A Wednesdays once a month, where we pose a question of the month to gauge, interaction, and to see how you are apart from being an artist, because we're more than just artists, right? So we pose the question and get interaction. If you have any questions that you want to ask during the live, you definitely can put it in the question box, the chat, the comment box, or you can DM or email us ahead of time, so that is guaranteed answered during the live. We also have Freestyle Friday in 3 segments. We have open mics pretty much every Friday. We have Battle Art second Friday for your chance at some money. Our theme for this month is If God Was One of Us, and Ms. Dope Female Trainer has been reigning so far. So if you are interested in participating, we will have it this week, this Friday. So tune in to that as well. We also have on third Fridays our Art of War, Art Awareness fundraiser, where we raise awareness as well as funds so that we can come to a city, state, or country near you. So we are just focusing on the beauty, necessity, and uniqueness of art based on your culture, your background, where you're from, and it might look different depending on who you ask. So we want to showcase and highlight that by not just being virtual, but coming in person. So that's why we are doing the fundraiser, and you can always donate to a good cause at any point. You can click the link in our bio to donate to that as well. Fourth Fridays, we have our feature segments coming back this month. Definitely stay tuned for this month's feature, because you are in for a treat. All right. We have Intellect's a Place for Entrepreneurs podcast going into season 3. If you are interested in being a feature, definitely connect with us, DM or email us so that we can collab with you. We have voiceover options. We have merch. Let's see. We got some merch here. Okay. We got books. We have flyer options, promo options. We have our YouTube subscriptions. Make sure you check out our YouTube channel. And of course, make sure to check out our email subscriptions. We also have member fees. But if you want to be the first to know in the know about everything that we have going on, definitely subscribe to our emails. You will not be disappointed. We got some goodies and some things, and it's free $99. All right. And of course, we have our art and business seminar, our first one. Check that out on YouTube. We have another one coming very soon. All right, so thank you again for those who tuned in, who participated, and for those who will watch this later. We appreciate you all. Until next time, have a great Wednesday and an awesome rest of your week.